What's up, everybody? Welcome to Conservation News Network. I'm your host, Pat, and today we've got three really awesome videos. The first one is a video showing some really great behavioral stuff around lions over in Kruger National Park, where you have two rival factions fighting each other. The second one is a really scary video of a leopard attacking a dog over in somewhere in Asia. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in the Himalayas. And then finally, we have a spectacular stoppage of a mock charge by a guide in Wangi National Park, Zimbabwe. As you can see, I'm wearing my Bear Grylls shirt today. If you haven't seen my latest video about the man versus bear argument, then I'd highly recommend going and watching that. And so, without further ado, let's get into it. Alrighty, so our first video that we're looking at today is called Lion Surprise Rival and Attack Him From Behind. So this one is set in Mala Mala, which is it's actually an adjacent kind of property to Kruger National Park. It's actually a private area. If you can have a look here, it's sort of just a little bit northwest of Skakusa, but my understanding is this actually area is still part of the Sabisand region. And Mala Mala's one of these quite expensive type places that you can, where the guides actually are allowed to go off-road, which is really, really cool. I love it. I love it when you can go on properties and you're not exactly stuck to going on the main road. It's a pretty expensive place to stay at. If you got the money, I'd highly recommend going there. And just to be sure, everybody, I'm not actually sponsored by any of these lodges or anything like that, but I do like to give a little bit of context about the areas that I'm talking about. So let's get into it. All right, so we got two male lions. These two. Okay, so one of the things about this that I noticed immediately is that it's sort of in the dry part of the year. So, sort of maybe like September, October. Lots of dry grass. Everything's kind of gone down from all the feeding. And what you'll notice is that lions are extremely territorial. And if another lion from another area comes into their area, then they will fight to the death. And so what happens with a lot of lions is what'll happen is when a young lion gets old enough, and when a young male gets old enough, he will actually be kicked out of the pride by his dad and probably some of the other females too, because what'll happen is he'll start having these sort of sexual urges, and to preserve the genetics of these of the pride, he will get booted out. And plus, at the same time, his dad doesn't want him competing with the dad, because essentially the lions will start competing with each other. And so he gets booted out, and then he'll have to go and try and go into another area to take over that the pride of another lion or set of lions. And so these guys, they've obviously smelt this other intruder coming in, and they are essentially going in and telling him, "Hey, you better get out of here now, otherwise we're gonna really hurt you." So we're following these two lions. They actually look pretty old. Bloody buffering. Oh, here we go.
Look, they're gonna catch him now.
So if you have a look at this, one thing that I would actually notice about this lion here is, one thing I'd actually notice, look at him there. He actually looks like a pretty old lion. So there's actually, even though I was talking about that young lions get booted out of a pride, quite frankly, when that actually happens, and let's say you've got some young lions that come in and they actually fight this older lion, they might actually win, and there's a good chance they do actually. And as a result, that older lion has to leave the pride, but then he's got nowhere to go. So he's sort of in this limbo type thing where he can't actually do anything, and he ends up getting and for him, that's when lions are actually like much more dangerous, and then they start looking for livestock and that sort of stuff, because at the end of the day, they can't actually live in these other areas without getting pestered by the dominant lions in the area. So let's continue.
Let's see. They're gonna catch him. Now they're gonna grab him, eh? Look.
He doesn't even know. Oh, and you see that guy, that lion did not even know until the absolute last minute. Now, we'll talk about that in just a minute. But yeah, let's continue.
Now they're gonna look. They're gonna
Whoa. Okay, guys, check out this bit right here. So you can see that actually that this guy here, who was the intruder, actually took out a pretty big slice of this guy here. So, even though it's a 2 against 1 and a bit of an unfair situation, let's be real, nature's never fair, that this intruder could actually end up causing quite a lot of damage, or even killing one of the lions too. Don't forget that if this old intruder is old enough to live like this, he would have had to go and kick some pride out, some big dominant males out of their area in the first place. So likelihood is he's actually a big tough lion himself. And see this. Oh, he's grabbing him. You can see he's grabbing him by the thing. Oh, wow. Yeah, look at him. Look at all these bits right here. All the scars. So this guy definitely is an older lion. And likelihood is these guys at Mala Mala do know each one of these lions as well. If you're a guide who's been living in these in this area and guiding for years, most of them know the animals really intimately, especially when it comes to the lion prides and that sort of stuff. And one thing I'd also like to notice is that this guy here, this guy right here, he's also he might have been injured, and he's watching to see if he can do it at the best opportunity. And that's really interesting. I don't know if you noticed, but the other two backed off. So usually with this, is the lions would actually go in and they would just go and attack until the other one's dead. But this one actually obviously got pretty badly injured from that. And so, yeah, like cats, they can be kind of pussies. But that being said, I still wouldn't mess with them. These are big, dangerous animals that could very, very easily kill a person. And like I said, this lions that are this sort of age, they're the kind of ones that go out looking for livestock and even end up becoming man-eaters themselves. Yeah, and that's the end of the video. So one thing I'd like to draw some attention to is that a lot of people were saying that the engine noise helped with the surprise. The diesel engines are accomplices in any and every death when they're around. Without a doubt, the sound of the engine disturbed and prevented the lion from hearing and sensing its adversaries. Look, I would actually play devil's advocate with this. Yeah, maybe there's a good chance that this actually did happen. But let's be real. If those people and those vehicles weren't there, there is no money going into this. The anti-poaching and what actually looks after these animals is funded pretty much solely by tourism. And so if there are no tourists and there's no money, there's no wildlife. So yeah, because these areas, they just be turned into cattle farms or regular farms. And so, I think it is in a lot of ways a necessary evil to be able to have these very, very expensive, very high-end safaris that pay for the anti-poaching and give these areas a value. Because if wildlife doesn't have a value, then it doesn't exist anymore. So, and also one thing I was about to get onto the next video, but I would also like to say that all of these guides, they don't want to see, these animals getting killed. They've actually gone and watched these animals in an area for a long time. They've probably seen some of these lions grow up from cubs. And so to say that, these guides are just, bloodthirsty and they want to just get stuff for the views is really an ignorant point of view and an ignorant point. So next video is leopard attacks neighbor's dog at home. So this is taken, well, the name of the place, the person who, what do you call it, that posted this video, Himalayan host. So my assumption is that it could be somewhere in Nepal or in northern India or Bhutan or one of those kind of countries. And just so that we're really, really aware, the dog does actually survive. I was checking some of the video, some of the comments, and it does say that the Labrador, who's named Jackie, actually did survive the attack, which is pretty phenomenal, especially when we actually look at what happened. So let us get rolling. All right, first of all, I just want to say, if you have a look, the leopard is just right here. So just watch from there. Oh, wow, the dog is like just chilling, making sure that it can actually just, kind of sleeping. And oh my God, why? Come on. Here we go. All right. Have you guys noticed how silently this leopard has managed to just come all the way up? And I would say that this leopard is probably very, very used to hunting dogs and hunting animals around this. It's what's really, really interesting, in fact, is that leopards actually, this is from India, a place called Bengaluru, and it's there's showing that actually leopards are a big cat that are quite prevalent in cities. They're extremely elusive, and a lot of the time they'll go out and they'll eat dogs, cats, and that sort of stuff. So, I think in Western countries we should consider ourselves really, really lucky that we don't have these animals out here eating our pets. Actually, in fact, when I was living in Zimbabwe, over in Victoria Falls, I heard a story from a resident there who was a professional hunter, and one night he woke up in the middle of the night, and he heard some like disturbance. So, like Victoria Falls is generally a pretty safe town, but every once in a while they do have break-ins and stuff like that. It is Zimbabwe after all, a country which has like 95% unemployment, by the way. And so he took his gun down, and then as he went down into his kitchen expecting to see somebody coming and trying to rob him, and in fact he found a leopard on his counter eating his dog. And so, obviously, as everybody, he was pretty upset about that and dispatched of that leopard, and I think he was within his full rights to as well. That could have been a really dangerous situation. He had young children at the house as well, but yeah, the dog was dead, and so I think we should be really, really lucky that we don't have leopards roaming around eating our pets. So let's continue. And you can see how slowly I don't know if it's a male or female leopard, but it's slowly creeping up. It knows, like, these cats are so smart, and they're also so quiet. Look, you think about it, right? Dogs have just amazing senses, like the sense of smell, sense of hearing. And leopards, actually, they have sort of like this musky sort of smell too. If you've ever been around, came across a leopard before, you'll actually notice that it has this like really musky sort of smell. I don't really know how to explain it. Almost like a sweet smell. And look at that. What a beautiful creature. Whoa. I can't believe this dog didn't notice. It must be an old dog. Labradors also generally are like really, they've generally got really good hearing. And the thing that I think's crazy is look how still it is. At first I thought that this was that it would pause, except you can obviously see the timer going. But yeah, this leopard, it's just moving so slowly. And like I said, I still can't believe that this dog didn't even notice. So this kind of goes on for quite some time, and I'm going to kind of move forward because this leopard sits here for about 2 minutes. So let's just. You can see the leopard finally. It stands over this dog for like 2 minutes. I wish this guy would hold the camera correct, like just sort of just hold it. Oh, look at that! Look how still it is. That, I think, is the scariest part. All right. Now that we've got this leopard who's actually gone in and grabbed it, let's just go back a second. And what I want to do is, because it happens at such a fast speed, I'm going to take it to half speed. And so, I don't know if you saw that, but the dog all of a sudden woke up and realized, and that's when the leopard pounced. So, it's kind of difficult to see, but what the leopard is trying to do here is, if you see just sort of here, the leopard is actually trying to grab the dog by the back of the throat, by the back of the neck, so that it can. Because what it'll do is it'll try and grab that vertebrae and then break that vertebrae, and then essentially the dog is just kind of like limp. Its neck's broken, and so then the dog can't actually do anything, and the leopard can just then grab it by its neck and then suffocate it to death. That's generally how leopards will dispatch of their prey. So let's go back to 1. And I don't know if you noticed this, and I'm really glad that it's in black and white, but I would recommend having a look at this bit just here on the steps. And this is why I think it's amazing that this dog actually survived. Because, let's watch. Boop, boop, boop. And then just blood spraying everywhere. And now, as I mentioned, the leopard's now got the dog by its throat and is trying to suffocate it to death. And so, that's why I thought, when I first saw this and I didn't read the comment section, I thought the leopard had killed it. Because, you see all this blood here, and it's just like, with that amount of blood, you would have thought that maybe the dog had been, that it hit like an artery or something like that. And so you can also see that like the leopard's actually kind of grabbing on with its claws as well to try and stop the dog from moving. But obviously this leopard, the dog's still alive. It's a male dog, if you can see. Then it tries to dispatch it, and then the people come out. Oh, you better believe I'd be coming out with a gun. that leopard would not. That leopard would not be surviving from me. That's for sure. Anyway, yeah. So as I said, luckily the dog did actually survive. Super glad about that. But I think if you live in an area with dangerous animals, I would highly recommend keeping your pets locked up. And then finally, we've got a video from a guide at Camp Wangi. So Camp Wangi is I guess it's like a luxury camp over in Wangi National Park in Zimbabwe. I think is this in Cinematella or is this in Robbins? I think Camp Wangi is actually like on the border of Cinematella and Robbins. And so this is like, it's in that sort of like, so I actually know this area super, super well because I did a lot of mapping projects in the area. And so interestingly, there's like this whole big band of Mapani. And so Mapani are these trees here. So there's that. I mean, it's all Mapani. It's like just a sea of Mapani. And so I reckon this is around, maybe about April, because the Mapani still have its leaves. Interesting thing about Mapani is it's a what is it, deciduous tree. And so these trees, they will during the rainy season, they'll have leaves, and the leaves kind of look like a butterfly. It's and then when as it starts getting drier and colder, and actually my understanding is that when it's cold, that's when we get the frost, that's when all the leaves actually fall down. And Mapani is like, it's a really interesting tree because like the local people, they actually rely on it because they have a thing called a Mapani worm, which is a local delicacy for the Ndebele people, and that is it's actually a caterpillar, and these people eat these, and yeah, I mean I've tried Mapani worms before, but I'm not exactly a big fan of them. But yeah, I mean they're really, really great source of protein, and yeah, they only live in the Mapani forests. And then also Mapani is the wood that we use to create campfires, and it's super hard. If you try and cut down a Mapani tree with an axe, your axe is just going to go blunt. It's crazy how hard it is, and quite frankly, like there's just so much Mapani around anyway. You just pick up a couple pieces and burn it, and it creates a really, really hot red fire. Though it does take a little bit of time to actually get to that sort of level. You have to kind of mix in some other wood before you do. But once you get that fire going, chuck some Mapani in. Like that is, especially when it's like wanky in the middle of winter, and it gets cold there. Like in some of the flays there, which are like these depressions with the grassland depressions, it can get like -10 at night. So anyway, let us continue. So then this one here, the guide, his name's Moses. And one thing that you got to understand about Zimbabwean guides are they are the best guides in the world. To be able to become a a full professional guide in Zimbabwe, you have to just go through just an enormous amount of rigorous training, several years, and then also the people that do the testing are just the best guides in the world, and they won't pass you unless you really know your stuff. So let's go and watch this. This is an awesome video. Wait a second, did it say July? Oh, it's in July. Wow, the Mapani's still thing. Okay, so a couple of things I want to start off with here is that with this elephant, what you'll notice is that it's got its head up, kind of like that, because elephants actually have really, really poor eyesight. What it's doing is it is doing that because it's looking down to essentially assess the threat. Well, it's doing that, and also to make itself look big. Now, one thing you'll notice is that Moses here, he has a rifle there, but a lot of the time these guides are taught to essentially not use their rifle till the absolute last minute, till they know that it's going to be a danger, and because, well, let's be real, the guides, they don't want to shoot the elephants, and then at the same time, it's you just don't want to. So next, all right. So when an elephant shakes its head like that, it's letting you know that it is annoyed. It's kind of giving you this sort of, hey, look, I'm already annoyed. You best back off. And everything will be cool. He's telling Moses that, to back off. And we already know this is a male. Just there's a couple of things. It's difficult to see, but you can but he's kind of a bit higher. There's no other females around, and yeah, it looks like a younger male because his tusks aren't that big either. Okay, so Moses said iwe. So iwe is a word that is used quite frequently over in Zimbabwe. It means like, hey, you, iwe. And it's my understanding is both used in Shona and Ndebele. When I was in Umforozi with all the Shonas, they always used iwe to me. Iwe, hey, Murungu, iwe. Yeah, Murungu means white guy. See the elephant still keeping his head up high. Now, one thing I also want to point out as well is this elephant is actually kind of standing behind this tree here. So what elephants will often do is they'll actually try and put themselves, even though they're like a giant animal that could just knock over this tree, he will kind of put himself kind of behind that. And elephants will often actually stop in front of a tree or something like that. Especially when they're doing a mock charge. If they're doing a full charge, they've got their head down and then the tusks down and going as fast as they possibly can. But most of the time, especially if they're doing a mock charge, they'll often stop like kind of in front of a tree or a small ditch or something like that. Because I think part of the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that if an animal injures themselves, and I think I've mentioned this a couple of times in some of my other reactions, that if an animal injures himself or herself, then that can actually be a death sentence as well. And so it's not really worth risking the injury if you can avoid it. Okay, here we go. See what I mean? He's kind of using that tree. And so he passed the tree barrier. And so Moses obviously is now taking off his hat. And what Moses is kind of trying to do is he's making himself look kind of a bit bigger and more intimidating. And also what he's not doing is he's not running away. And He's not backing off. Quite frankly, what Moses might actually do, and what he probably should do, is move a bit forward as well. See what I mean? That elephant just knocked down that tree without an issue. All right, we can also tell that this is a male just because if you have a look here, there's no mammary glands. His stomach is a little bit higher as well. So I think there's 2 video cameras. And see what Moses is doing now? He's slowly moving forward. He's doing, quite frankly, Moses is obviously a guy that really knows his stuff. And in a place like Wangi, where there are up to 30,000 elephants living there, especially during the dry season, Moses has probably had so many encounters with elephants in his life, and probably grew up around elephants as well. So, yeah, well done to him. He's doing a fantastic job. He's moving forward, grabs his hat, and then the elephant gets out of there. So I would say that, yeah, as you can see, this is just textbook, exactly perfect stuff on what you should be doing with elephants. And yeah, so look, this is what we got today. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you like the content, please don't forget to subscribe. If you think I've gotten anything wrong, or you want to help the channel, write down in that comment section, because every single YouTube is really it loves the comment section. And so the more you comment, the more views I get, and the more I can, just do more videos for all of you. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out more of my videos, I've got a whole library of reactions. I've got lots of stuff. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and we'll check you next time.